Mr. Martin, you ready for
Yes, sir. Yeah. Now we get this out of the way.
Can I just start by saying, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Martin, you're gonna show exactly how the new texture test will be implemented, so people can understand what the testers will be looking for.
Well, first of all, I want to say good morning and thanks for granting me the opportunity. And literally, really, what's transpiring here is nothing new as to what I'm doing or something that was newly invented. If you go to your Milady book, I need my glasses. If you go to your Milady book, there is a chapter in haircutting on page 389, and that is understanding other cutting textures. That is in each and every last one of y'all book if you're working with the latest edition. And it talks about cutting curly hair. It talks about the focus on the tips for cutting curly hair, because that's exactly what I will be executing at the moment. Now, when we talk about textured hair or curly hair, we're talking about the same, and I'm just bringing, these are my babies for demonstration. We're talking about the same type texture, the same technique used on this diverse texture. This is what you would call natural hair, okay? This is what you would call curly hair, okay? Very curly, tight. Whether the pattern, I had a pattern in an orange rod. So whether the pattern is in an orange rod or whether the pattern is on whatever type of pattern, curl pattern it is, it's textured hair, and this one here is a little curly. The technique is the same. Literally, if you was to follow me step by step, it literally has in the bottom portion the focus on. And that's literally going to walk you through it. So what I have right here is a procedure for the permanent waving and cutting curly natural hair. So now we're utilizing it as the portion, a part of our perming. So please, I'm very busy. I don't wrap perms a lot. I didn't wrap this perm to pass state board. I've already passed. So critics, keep your rocks to yourself. Email me what you want to email me about my rap. I did that after Friday, after a tough day of trying to handle, Ms. Miller know how it goes, trying to handle some kids. Nerves bad, haven't drank in 30 years and wanted to drink that day. So let's just say, for instance, an individual would come in and what our Kim set, and here's our Kim set, and we all know that the subsection must be on the front left panel. We didn't change much, or the technique is not, the procedure is not far off from what the actual perm application was requesting in the past. Still, the subsection is on the left panel. The subsection must be, according to the long white rod, must be half on base, no fish hooks. Same thing, the same guidelines. The hair must be dry, double in paper, flat wrap, and wrap with tension. That's what's already in place. Now here we come in and we implement the cutting technique. The tester will, the rod and the end paper is removed and is sectioned, and 3/4 subsection, whether vertical or horizontal. Vertical, horizontal, we don't give an individual, we don't tell them how to cut it, we don't tell them how we want them to section it, but we give them the option to come in and to section it according to how they want to cut it. But the technique is what we're testing on. So it is already in place. An individual would come in. He or she would take a rod down, and I went on and set the whole entire mannequin so that, in case I have to come in here. So the tester would look, and the tester would see that the hair is dry. Hair must be dry. Student must come in with the perm set already in place. The paper's removed. The rods is removed.
So the tester is going to come remove the rod and the paper.
The tester will come with the hair dried, in place and will remove, before the examiner will remove the rod and the paper. Okay? So now, the rod and end papers are removed. And it's sectioned into 3 subsections. The reason why I say possibly vertical or horizontal, I mean, it's how the teacher wants to approach it. But the technique is what we're looking for. So this is what I have, so everyone can fairly see what I have. You have it, Mr. Byrne?
Got it.
Good. Okay, so with that being said, now the key is the tools. You can read in your focus part of the same information. Curly hair or textured hair should never be cut with a rat tail comb. Should never be cut with a closed tooth comb. It tells you that in that particular procedure. That's in your Milady book. It should be, and some people say, well, where are you going to find this? This is the tools that is used for when we're cutting curly hair. Anything that is close, and I'm sorry, that is separated all the way through. But what the tester can come in with is this stuff you always like, maybe $1. And in this particular pack, you have different type of tools that has the separated teeth to where you can come in and you can execute the technique, cutting technique. So here I will come in and I'll show you. Okay, I have another one somewhere. Where's the other? Okay, I'll just use this. Okay, so now the cutter, I tell my students that all the time, the cutter must always be comfortable. So the people who can't see it, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to move around. Here the student would come in, and the student will literally detangle the hair. Watch this here. So now, whether the section is, now we have white rods, okay? Whether the section is, and I'm using it only to that particular left side, because that's what they're going to be testing on. Whether the subsections is vertical or whether the subsections is horizontal. Literally, it's on the individual. But the key to cutting this here is the technique. And here's the technique. The technique is the curl must coil around the finger. The number one thing you must not do is put tension on the hair. It tells you that about 5 times in your Milady book. Do not put tension on the hair. So once the hair is, so you say, well, Kevin, this is a horizontal section. So I'll approach it 2 ways for you all. I'll cut it horizontal and I'll come back and I'll cut it vertical. Let's see. Which one of them want to work today? Okay. So here is the student, the tester will come and comb the hair. So what it states right here is that once the rod and end paper is removed in the 3 subsections, 3 to 4 subsections, whether vertical or horizontal, the hair is wrapped around the finger with a minimum tension and curl within that C or the S-shaped pattern. And then it goes back, the hair is cut 1 to 2 inches within the C or the S-shaped pattern without any tension. And it's very simple. Look. And you can do that with any type of textured hair. So once that person comes in, here it is. So I will go, I mentioned I will cut horizontal for you all. So with that horizontal statement, that indicates that horizontal, if I'm cutting horizontal, I'm adding weight to that haircut. Okay? Now, I'm not a big fan of the white rods, but I mean, that is already in place. I'm a great fan of when you start using those larger ones, it gives you more, because then now the student has to comb through the hair, the tester has to comb through the hair, wrap the hair around the finger, minimum tension, and come back, execute the same results right here. Comb this, And literally, really, honestly, so you say, well, here's somebody going to ask a question. Well, where's the guide? Is it cutting the guide? Bottom line is, all you want to do is see them execute the technique. Now, if the tester want them to, or the examiner want them to follow the guide is right there at the bottom. Look, this is wrapping around my finger. And all you got to do is come in.
So
And
is
it's-
there a
it's-
specific degree?
It's cut within the curl. Well, that, if you could notice what I'm doing right here, if I'm bringing this down, I'm not doing any lifting to it.
Right, so you're doing zero.
It's
Yeah.
a square graduation.
Yeah.
It's 45
So
degrees.
my question, not to complicate it, it's either or. So here's the opposite way. It's either or. You can come in and you can cut it. And literally, if you stretch it to try to get a blunt cut, well, then again, you didn't put some tension into the hair. So that's why you notice that I was coming to possibly a 45 to eliminate the tension. Here is the opposite way of cutting it. Come in, is a vertical section. Okay, I got a section here. I have a section here. And then I have a third section. So now, I will raise up Clementine, and look. So here is whether that student decides to come and cut it. Vertical section is wrapped around the coil. The technique is executed. Here's the guide, comes right behind. Wrap it around. Technique executed.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, they can choose which way to cut it, but the projection's gonna be different, the guide's gonna be different either way. I'm just concerned that when we go to explain it to students, that they're gonna get a little confused too, because there's so many different ways to teach it, and say the test or examiner doesn't see exactly how they pull the tension and cut it, could be interpreted a lot of ways.
Well, first of all, there's no tension. Second of all, it's our job to make sure that the examiners are prepared for what they're looking for. That's our responsibility. So when the examiner is going to look at it, examiner, the student have two options, as y'all the instructors. We don't want to come and mandate, hey, this is a certain way we want it. We're not mandating a style of cutting. We're just showing you a technique. So the technique can be executed whether they go to horizontal sectioning, or the technique can be executed whether they go to vertical. So we're not saying do this, we're not coming and putting this in stone. It's like, here are two options that this particular technique is this particular cut is sectioned, because I'm only sectioning. What really matters is the execution of the technique. So here's my second subsection. Someone else had a question. Your hand was up.
I do. So you went from a graduated haircut and then you went back into layering and released the weight by cutting off the guide at the top?
The only reason why I did it is because the tester will have two options. The tester can do what I did first by putting some horizontal subsection. I'm only calling subsections out. I'm not calling projections out. I'm calling only subsections. Now, I understand how I'm holding it is a projection, but I'm only calling subsections. I'm trying to keep this stuff as simple as possible. Okay? As simple as possible. We are executing a technique, we're not executing a degree.
So what's the technique? Because is it layers, graduation, or one length?
Apparently, you missed the technique. Look at the technique here.
No, I'd like.
Look it's here. Look.
Well, first
Look. I'm wrapping it around my finger. It's the technique of executing on how to cut curly hair. And you cut within the coil. That's the technique.
Yeah, I know how to cut to a guide. I'm just asking like the actual like elevation that you're lifting the hair. There's not gonna be a definitive.
She wants to know, is there
Like,
Like on a
anything
grading
specific?
rubric, how are they
How are
gonna be
you
grading
gonna
on the
grade
rubric?
it?
Yeah.
If there's no,
On this rubric right here, we do not have no projection.
okay, I didn't see that.
They're
That's why.
watching, are they watching how they
They
are,
comb around the finger.
they're
That's
watching
basically
how
it.
they comb around the finger
And then cut to
to
a guide.
cut it rather than the projection of what
They're
they're.
watching the technique of cutting curly hair
I
instead of
also have
predicting.
another question.
Instead of predicting a specific projection. The projection is not predicted. All the projection is gonna take place when you do that 90-degree haircut. This here is just teaching you a technique on how to come in and execute cutting textured hair. And look, the hair curls right back. Now, here is the incorrect way to do it. Here's the incorrect way to do it. Okay? Take me a little while because she was set. And that is coming with the tension, like you're cutting a 90-degree, and coming in and disregarding how that hair is coiled.
Okay.
That's the incorrect way.
For timing, because this is on the chemicals section, are they getting extra time, or is that separately timed before they begin a chemical section?
So we're
They
gonna
get the
determine that. We hadn't determined that yet.
Okay,
Probably be the same time.
Yes, sir. Be the same time.
because it's a 50-minute head, and they've already doing, well, I guess it would eliminate that because they're not rolling, and then
They
so
don't
that would
ex-
go into the
that's
time
what
for
we-
that?
yeah.
Okay, just.
So the wrapping would take approximately, or used to take, I don't know how much time. But you're talking about almost with just the wrapping, 10 minutes is eliminated.
Okay.
It'll take, by the time they come in with the hair dry and take the papers off, that's 2-3 minutes. They have enough time to put sections. So the section option is how the instructor have taught them. Whether you come in and do horizontal and execute, we'll talk y'all degree, a 45, or whether you come in and you put some vertical sections.
Okay,
It's either or. It's really the execution of the technique, that's all that matters.
okay.
And it should be even before they do the perm rods.
Ma'am?
I said they should have an even haircut before they put the perm rods in.
Yes, other than that, they're gonna have different lengths, and it's going to, so what we're really looking for now is, can that student, do that student have a working knowledge, a working understanding of how to approach this particular textured hair and how to cut it? And it's cut within the fingers. And I did not rewrite that. I just said, I've been doing this for over 30 years. It's right here.
Okay. Question?
So will the examiner go and observe each and every student that is testing at the time just to observe the technique, and that's how they're gonna grade it? Or will the examiner go in themselves and hold it out and check it?
We haven't worked with the examiners yet.
I have a question. On cutting curly hair, as opposed, well, of course, you cut it in the curl, but don't you also notch cut? I didn't notice you notch cutting.
No, I did not. No, I did not notch cut. The reason why I did not notch cut, because I'm not texturing the hair. We're talking novice who's coming in learning how to cut how to cut textured hair. No, I didn't notch. That's more advanced stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
No, just
When you said notching, I'm,
just notching the ends, because when you cut curly hair, you want movement in the ends, you don't want bluntness.
that is correct. That is correct. You are correct. But that is more on an advanced, that's on an advanced level. We're just talking just basic understanding of how to approach cutting textured hair.
Any other questions?
And remember, the book tells you over and over and over, razors do not belong in curly hair.
Any other questions? Okay, yes.
So when is the specific criteria gonna be put in place so that we know to teach the students exactly what the tester is gonna look for?
We will be working closer, and we plan to have it on the website. We'll work closer with the testers. I think the mandate is June 2022.
June 6th of
Yeah,
2022.
so everything will be in place, between working with,
When can we
Ms.
get it
Wade?
up on the website?
Yeah.
Sorry. You know, when can we put this sheet up on the website?
let's say, this sheet here, we can have it up. Let's say, why don't we have some type of tutorial? But it can, yeah, some type of tutorial. I'll come in and I'll work with you. Let's have it up on paper. I'll come in, I'll work with you all. Y'all just
So
take
those
it.
specifics will be in place ASAP so
Yeah.
that we can start training our students?
That is correct. This right here, this rubric, she'll put it up as soon as they approve it.
Okay.
And I guess one alternative is to go ahead and pull out your My Lady textbook and just.
And look, it's right, it's all right here.
Yeah, but I'm just curious to see how the tester is gonna actually grade it. Because we need those specifics, because we need to in turn be able to teach the students, how is the tester gonna check it?
Yeah.
That's
Well, just like you sitting here, standing here and asking questions, We plan to do the same thing with the testers. Plan to do the same thing with the testers.
So will the test, well, I'm just.
That's hypothetical.
Right. Will the tester be there watching the student as they cut? Because that's how they're going to see the technique.
Yes, correct.
Since they get to decide whether they'll do it horizontally or vertically, they need to actually see them implementing the technique.
That's where,
As
that's,
opposed to trying to come back and check it.
right, that's
after.
where we come in. That's where we come in.
Have it divided up maybe between the testers so that they are watching hands-on.
Right, because they have to watch the technique, because
Right,
that's what's
right.
important. You know,
Well,
they
if
get my
you-
haircut, you can come back and check it.
Yeah.
But
If-
if you're just testing the technique,
Yeah.
the tester has to actually lay eyes on.
On the technique,
person.
right, on the execution.
Yes.
That is correct.
Okay, next question. Okay, what is gonna happen with the perm? Is it gonna be graded or not?
We have to determine that.
You mean the route?
Well, the wrap is, yes, because they're coming in with it wrapped, yes.
Absolutely, it is graded.
Yes.
So it's gonna be graded, so it's gonna be graded prior to them doing the haircut? 'Cause they
Well,
have
they're
to-
gonna examine, the entire mannequin is going to be examined. The entire mannequin is gonna be examined, like they normally come in and they normally place the perm rods in. The tester would examine and come back and take a look at it. But when the when the student comes in, yes, the rod application will be,
Graded first?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
next question is, when they were initially grading it, it was on wet hair. When they test for curl pattern, they pulled it out and they looked for the ends to make sure there were no fish hooks. When it's already dried, once you start to around the rod, the hair shrinks, so it's gonna be harder to determine if there's fish hooks or not, because the hair's gonna start shrinking up. So how are they gonna test that?
Well, they're gonna test for two things. They're gonna test for the placement, make sure they have the end papers and the flat wrap. And you as an instructor, I mean, it's your responsibility to make sure that that student is executing that before he or she leaves his school.
But will the tester look for fish hooks?
Well, fish hooks
Because
literally
it's
is
gonna be
going,
hard to determine once the hair's dried, because it's gonna shrink as soon as you.
so you
start
just
to-
said it, there's no fish hooks. There's no fish hooks.
So they're not gonna test for that,
Because there's no fish hooks.
okay.
Why look for what's not there?
Yeah,
Other
you should be able to
questions?
see a fish hook.
It could, yeah, it could be
Well,
there.
it's sometimes
Yeah.
when the hair starts to dry and it shrinks up, it's hard to see around that rod if there's fish hooks.
I can tell you what's going to determine whether there's fish hooks or not. It's how that hair is placed on that paper and how that hair is wrapped. Now, if that hair is not brought to the end of that paper, or that paper does not start wrapping, the paper is not wrapping prior to the hair, well then again. But the key is the hair is dry, the hair is wrapped, the hair was wrapped on double book, the hair is sectioned, and the cutting technique is executed. That's it. It's simple.
Okay, well, anything else?
When are students that are in the cosmetology now, are they gonna be tested on, or is
No,
it
ma'am.
gonna start when y'all?
No, man, it's gonna be just like Mr. Steve
Okay.
mentioned it to the same thing for the testers. Once they phase out, then the new ones from the
the
month
time
of
you'll-
June, yes ma'am.
Okay, gotcha,
Yes ma'am.
thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Any other question? Okay. Remember, it's on page 389.
That was a great demonstration. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for your work on this, and thank you. I know there's a team working on this. Well done. Okay. Is there anything else?